The director.
So far, this already beats the Democratic response from the other night.
Like I was saying before, I want to thank everyone for coming here. We have Somerset in the house. Let's give them a round of applause. We have Camden County here. Powell. We have Jackson, all over Ocean County. You know, Lacey Township, Beechwood. Did I miss anywhere? Tongue River, Bayville, Barnegat. So our support is resonating throughout the state. And I think the reason for this is that, like you all, I'm sick and tired of being number one at all the wrong things. And everybody has heard this but said, wow, Joe Rullo, back going, almost 18 months ago, we announced in September of 2015, I was sick and tired of being number one then, and all of a sudden now it's trending in all the news. Now all of a sudden all the opponents are starting to pick up on it. But I've been saying this, for 18 months. We're number one in the highest cost for roads and bridges. We're number one in, most importantly, the highest property taxes. We're number one in the most people leaving the state. And for all my Second Amendment patriot fighters out there, we're number one in the most restricted liberties in this state. And people are starting to leave in droves. We need somebody who's going to get in, who's going to understand what retention is. When you raise taxes, people leave the state. People can't take it anymore. See, these politicians don't understand that people have a certain amount in their wallet. They make a certain amount per year, a certain amount per week. Some people go paycheck to paycheck. An increase in gas, which, by the way, everyone knows this, in 2014, I came out against not only the gas tax, but in 2014 I came out against the gas tax. And this is way before all the other politicians came out, including Guindano, who basically came out the day before it was already approved by both legislatures and fought twice, okay? Silent Kim can't win, hell no Guindano. We have got to send a message to Trenton, because I'm going to tell you right now, I can defeat Murphy. Murphy is not the problem. We need to get through the primary. Once we get through the primary, I will focus on Murphy, who has been with Goldman Sachs, which made him rich. And everybody knows that this state is in shambles. This state is bankrupt because of all these bonds. Everybody knows that I want to take the $125 million in fees in our pension that went up to $700 million, and that's a year. And that was basically under the Democrats. We now have Republicans in. And these brokerage firms, which are getting the $700 million in fees, guess what? They're all politically connected. They helped Christie's re-election. His wife actually worked there, but quit, by the way, when he ran for president, which was nice of her to do in him. Additionally, Sweeney's re-elected off of that money. And why do you think they're not talking about this pension fund? Because it's a slush fund. I want to take that $1.4 billion over 2 years, and it's not a coincidence that the amount that Christie put in as the first payment at $1.4 billion just happens to be 2 years of his pension fees. We're looking at not a position where we're going to raise taxes. This is going to help stabilize your property taxes right off the cuff. And everybody also knows that with Murphy, I am the only Republican who has come out with the Times to have recreational legal marijuana, but responsibly. We're not going to hand it over to them like the TTF. We're not going to hand it over to them like the pension fund. No. We're going to earmark revenues to reliable positions so that we make the debt in our state and the responsibilities of our state are going to be met. We have the most credit downgrades and we have the worst funded pension system. So we need to earmark that. It is not a matter of if it's going to be legalized. It's a matter of either Joseph Rudy Rullo will win in June and then defeat Murphy and it will be legalized, or Murphy is going to win because all the other career politicians and combined have a half a century of being in office, raising taxes and doing all the other things that they've done to corrupt. We need to drain the swamp in Trenton, and everybody knows that, bottom line. I was very genuine months before, and most people were undecided, not all, most of the people in this room I think were with me, that I saw Donald Trump as someone like myself, unlike in New Jersey, which I deal with, but he was dealing with on Washington. He was going to rip apart Washington. And it wasn't even a decision to me whether or not I was going to support him or not. And I did this 2 months before when all the other Republicans in New Jersey jumped on the Christie bandwagon, as unpopular that he was, and appeased his, his dream to be the next, governor or the next president of the United States. I went with Trump. And even different, no matter all the different people that want to act like they're on the Trump train now that all of a sudden they're running for office, how many of them ran for 18 months like I did, and I ran for governor the whole entire time that Trump was running for the president of the United States. And I didn't back off of him, and I wasn't a turncoat like Guindano was. And what you need to do is tell all the elected officials that you know in your town, call them up and let them know on Wednesday there's a convention. Tell them they have a vote. Let them know that you want them to vote at that convention to nominate me to be the pick in Ocean County. And that's this Wednesday. You were talking about club presidents, chairmen are allowed to vote, and elected officials. That includes the state level, the senator, your assembly person, your mayor, or your council people. You can make such a difference. Welcome, everybody. Joe Rullo, pleased to meet you. Joe Rullo, pleased to meet you. Make sure you sign the petition to get a bumper sticker. I will tell you that I love everyone here, and I have been a selfless person who has always took on the task to stand up for the little guy, no matter what it may be. Everybody remembers a guy named Michael Rattacco, and nobody would stand up to that man. And you know what I did? I knew he was going to go to jail, and 2 weeks before he was arrested, I went to the Republican Party and I said, I am going to go after him. And I did. And I asked him not only to resign to avoid all these kids having to see him get arrested, I told the school board, you need to get rid of him. Number two, to take down the Rattacco sign and to audit immediately. And they didn't do it. They waited until the very last minute, 2 weeks later, he got arrested, but I was the only Republican, and I am the only Republican to date, who came out against him during that whole entire fiasco. He turned out to be the Don of Ocean County School Board, okay? And that's why I want to take our superintendents. We have 577 school districts. We're paying these superintendents $150,000, $200,000, whatever they're getting, okay? It is bankrupting our state. It's a solution to be able to cut in our education system without going after the kids' books and teachers and things like that. This is the things that they're unwilling to do. These are basically the dons of politics. Not all of them, and that's why I am flexible, but I'm proposing one superintendent per county. And I believe, thank you. Yes, and let me tell you how. I am not going to sit here and tell you that when I first get in, I'm going to be flexible. If I see that we might need 2 or 3, we'll do what we got to do. But they're going to have an administration as well. And you know what? We're in a position right now in the state. The other thing, too, in education, what we have to do is we got to make sure that we consolidate all the spending of the schools. And they don't do that. We're going to eliminate Common Core, but PARC also, PARCC test. That's a $40 million savings. Remember, I said it in the beginning. They're not going to be able to put these funding formulas in right away. Why? You saw Christie concede because it's not going to go through his proposal. I like Doherty's funding plan. Doherty's funding plan is great, and he's been doing it for years, and he's gone all over the place. But what we need to do, and we need to do it now, and I'm talking to the school boards of New Jersey, I'm talking to the mayors, the council people, everybody to have influence on your school boards and on the whole entire system. We have to start to cut the Board of Education's expenditures on certain things. I don't want to take away home rule. I'm not proposing to get rid of school boards. I'm not proposing to get rid of individual schools. But another thing that I'm open to, I will tell you right now that vice principals sometimes are really over redundant. And in Middletown, New Jersey, they have 9 vice principals for 2 high schools. That is uncalled for, okay? We cannot afford this anymore. That's the bottom line. This is why we have so many people in here, because you guys are fed up. Like you, I am so sick and tired of people. I watched friends, family, business associates, people I went to grammar school with, Catholic school, I'm a Fort Reading boy. I moved here when I was 16, been here most of my life. I talk to people from all levels of my life. And they're in Florida, they're in North Carolina. Why are we allowing New Jersey to fall? Because you know what? over and over and over the same old thing. Just like going to Atlantic City and you hit that, what is it, the wheel, the slot machine, and you think you're going to get it, and the next one you don't, and you don't. If you pick the same old people, you're going to get the same old result. If you take most of the legislatures and politicians, you put their brain in a bird, does anybody know what the bird would do? It would fly backwards. And it would. It would. And, you know, you got common sense out there, and that's, you know, people are like, how are you, are you polling? How are you reaching people's emotions? It's not emotions. Folks, I have been saying this since 2012. It's just that the mood, the wave, the ocean of our emotions and anger is here. And I've always been here. I ran in 2012. If you watch some of my videos, you would say, wow, some of the things that he's saying, most of the things he's saying, Trump said. Well, that means he ran 4 years later. I said it in 2012. And people thought back then, and I'll tell you, with illegal immigration, in 2012, it wasn't popular back then, and I was pushing for deportation, period. Because I am a product. My landscaping company, I work hard. I have liability insurance, I have employee comp, I have a payroll that I have to meet, my payroll payroll taxes, homeowner improvement contractor license. Yet I have in this very county, in Berkeley, which by the way, he's in different areas, and he basically is an illegal immigrant who was working for one of my competitors, and my competitor was good to him, and he ended up quitting, and he went with business cards that were really nice, big enough that people could see them, and put them in every single mailbox in all the different developments that I do in Holiday City area. And basically what he did is he said that he would cut the prices down by like 20% of what he was charging, and he wasn't kidding, okay? And he illegally put these in mailboxes, not even with stamps. I couldn't even afford to mail out to everybody. And you know what? You get a smack on the wrist the first time you do it, but all he had to do it was once. Because once he did it, they got his card and they said, oh wow, he's much cheaper than the other guys are. And this guy took all of this guy that I was competitors with, his customers as well. In the beginning, it was okay because it seemed like they were fighting with each other, so I got some of his customers. But within 2 weeks, I started doing estimates, and one of the estimates that I did, it was a $4,000 job that I bid on, okay, for a homeowner. They wanted me to take all the stone away from the house, take it away to a recycling center. By the way, I do it legally, and that's probably another thing that a lot of them do is anything illegal, they'll just do it because they're not following the laws anyway. Then they wanted fabric put down and brand new stone. I couldn't touch his job for $1,000. With the employees and with the labor, no, just the stone I needed for this job. Anybody take a guess how much this illegal immigrant charged for this job? $1,000. And this was, I didn't tell her to say this before, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And I am coming at this issue, and I want, the Democrats to call me a racist because I believe in the Constitution, and I believe in the laws of New Jersey and the United States, and that I believe that everybody should follow the laws of the Constitution of the United States, not just a select few. And feeling sorry for someone, do not disguise that with the fact that feel sorry for me. Feel sorry for all of New Jersey and all of America that is basically losing their jobs, losing their companies, not able to compete. That's who we should feel sorry for, but they don't. Instead, they try to make us to be the worst. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on, which I think a lot of you have already heard, I think that our transportation system is another place that we can have a major reduction and an increase in quality of life so that we have more money in our pockets. What I'm proposing is the Transportation Trust Fund was bringing in $950 million and spending 1.3. I personally, as governor, would have dissolved it. I would have gotten rid of the Transportation Trust Fund and made it more transparent and more efficient. That's what we need to do. And people say, well, how would that be done? Right now, Jennifer Beck sponsored legislation, which the governor, it couldn't even get to the governor, okay? What I'm proposing, similar to her, is I want to take the Turnpike, the Parkway, South Jersey Transportation Fund, which to me is a slush fund. It's basically a thoroughbred retirement center for political hacks. And that's the truth. And everyone who knows people that work there, it's a political appointment place, just like Port Authority. But with that being said, what I want to do is take and consolidate spending. For example, the asphalt mixtures, the machinery, the tools that they buy, and everything. You consolidate this at a minimum, and just, like I said, Jennifer Beck sponsored similar legislation. You're looking at $50 million there. Take the TTF. Instead of it spending $950 million, bringing in 1.3, even it out. Why do they do that? Because they have a $2 billion overdraft account called a bond, and that's what they do. And they're doing the same exact thing with this $10 billion that they just pushed through. And of course, the Republicans and Democrats are already trying to borrow off of that for the pension funds, and that's ridiculous. That's not why we did it for. People ask, how are you going to get rid of tolls? I am not going to get rid of every single toll at once. What I want to do is, once we have the Transportation Trust Fund bringing in what it's supposed to, we're going to be, and also consolidating all of the different road departments. And by the way, I didn't say this. Anybody ever see 10 people sitting there, or 5 people sitting there with a pen watching one guy dig a hole? How many of you are tired of seeing that? If we had more people digging the holes, and I dig holes for a living, okay, this is what we do with landscaping, we wouldn't be driving on off roads. It's like driving off road in New Jersey. This is why, because they have so many supervisors. So what I'm proposing is that, you know, all my opponents, oh, we want to repeal. Of course you want to repeal the gas tax, because that's what I said back when it was passed. I didn't fall into the $10 billion bond situation. I knew that we had to obviously vote against that, but I also knew that the repeal. Ask Kim Guindano how she feels about repealing the gas tax. She will not say that she wants to repeal it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I was at the State Chamber of Commerce meeting in September of 2015, and the State Chamber of Commerce was pushing the tax increase of 23 cents so that they felt that that was going to make New Jersey better. No, it's not. Taxes are not going to make New Jersey better. Taxes are going to counteract and contradict what we need is retention. Guindano was completely behind that gas tax, and I know she was. And the reason why I know is I am challenging her to say publicly now that she will repeal the gas tax. She hasn't said it once. And she's ingenious. She doesn't say things. Not that she says things, she doesn't say things, and this is how she hides it. And we need to, online, make sure that we go after Guindano and make her publicly say that she's going to repeal this gas tax. Because we need a governor that's not going to throw away all the money to everybody. And that's what's happening. I will, and I say this everywhere, if you think that Christie was bad, okay, if Murphy gets in, you're going to miss Chris Christie. Yes, you will. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Okay? We have Guindano who's traveling around the state trying to distance herself from Christie when her coat was Christie, okay? She was a loyal rank and file Christie. Now she's got to shed her skin of Christie. What I've done is the right thing, and all the media knows this, and anyone who lives in this county. I stood up when Christie ran for president and said, you're abandoning Sandy victims. You're abandoning New Jersey, and we're #1 in all the wrong things, and you need to stay here. Guindano never said that. And that's what I'm getting at, is that we need someone who's going to have backbone. Somebody that's going to stand up all the time. And I personally feel that Christie, up until the gas tax, he made a mistake with the gas tax, big time. He should have never increased taxes. But he vetoed every single tax. And I make a pledge that as governor, I will never raise taxes. And if I do, I will not run for re-election, period. That's it. They'll have to carry me out by my dead body or sign it with my dead hand to raise taxes in the state, because it's not the solution. I face it, like everybody here. This is desperate times, and desperate measures need to be done. We need to tighten our belt. So not only am I offering to veto taxes, I'm offering to make significant cuts in slush funds, political hacked retirement outposts. I'm offering to bring in revenue to the state, which all these other politicians, all they do is they have their little bullet points and their 5-point plans. 5-point plans to nowhere, like the bridges they built to nowhere. And that's what we need to get rid of. And when Donald Trump is president, and I'm governor of New Jersey, I promise that our veterans will get health care. Unlike with the illegal immigrants, you get free health care. And I'm sick and tired of it. Our veterans need to be respected in this state. I have pled year after year after year that Dan here, I think we should give Dan, and who else served? Raise your hand, please. And, okay, great. Thank you for serving. Let's give him a round of applause. The reason I have fought as an advocate, I am not a politician. I have never been in office before. I have a business. I have no interest in running for president or being in the National Governors Association. In fact, I promise I won't get starstruck like Christy did on television because I've already been on TV. I'm an actor. I've been on HBO, and I left my acting career. Yeah, I left my acting career. A lot of different. You look it up later. But and I left it, and I left it, and I loved it. But you know what? I woke up one day and I said we need to change what we're doing. We're getting back. You know, every single Memorial Day and every single Veterans Day, the politicians show up with their smile and shake the hands and then say it's a photo op. But every time there's an issue, like for example the Phoenix VA hospital, or we had our veteran who set himself on fire and he had to commit suicide because they didn't have availability. Yes, they didn't have availability in Linwood, New Jersey at this clinic after 5 o'clock, it's their banker hours, and they didn't have weekends. This guy set himself on fire and he died. Okay? All the veterans want is they don't want, like for example, Dan has to literally, right? You have to take off sometimes a day to go to work, to go to the hospital, all the way in the oranges, and that's not fair. So what we need to do is we need to work in New Jersey with these hospitals and with the VA, and we have to make it so that our veterans don't have to travel halfway across New Jersey in order to go and miss work and ruin their lives. I know veterans that can't even work because they have to go to the VA all the way in East Orange, which is ridiculous. The other thing too is I want to start a No Veterans Left Behind in New Jersey. We need to. We need to make sure that every day, I want New Jersey to be the capital. I want, not only do I want retention, but I want to bring people into New Jersey that aren't here or who left. And a lot of our veterans, they should never pay, ever pay state income taxes on their pension, and no matter what age they are. It doesn't matter if they're 65 or not. As governor, I will support that every single one of them doesn't have to pay state income taxes on their pension. And thank you. Lastly, if we're able to make all of these cuts, bring in the revenue, and once the property taxes start to go down, and we're going to keep cutting the right things and all the fat and all the waste and all the corruption, my goal is that your great-grandmother or your grandmother is not 80 years old paying 100% property taxes in this state. We need to reform this, period. Yeah. Senior citizens are being, they can't even buy their medicine. And people don't understand, and I come from Ocean County. And remember, I said this after all this stuff because I am not going to sit here and tell you that this is any easy feat that I have ahead of me. This state has been abused, it has been used, it has been ripped off, stolen. Look at the pensions. We have a $2.8 billion loan from 1997. $2.3 billion is still owed on it now, 20 years later. And it's a $350 million payment. And in 3 years from now, it's going to be a $500 million payment. They don't want you to know about this. It was a 7.67% fixed rate loan from 1997. This is why Goldman Sachs, Corzine Light, Murphy Light can never, ever get elected because it will be an open financial game for this state against us because his Goldman Sachs is the worst thing that could ever happen to us. And I will tell you, I feel that Murphy is a communist, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm being fair. How many people here learned in your history class that a bank owned by the state is communism? Raise your hand. So am I being mean calling him a communist? Absolutely not. He's proposing to give these scoundrels, another pension fund or another TTF fund. He has to be kidding me. And let me tell you what they're doing. And this is what drives me crazy. We have a debt limitation with our Constitution. It's called the Debt Limitation Clause. And this debt limitation clause basically says that you can't pass on debt from one legislation year to another. What they've done is they've figured out, wow, let's get these economic authorities. And these economic authorities, they bypassed and circumvented so that these economic authorities are so-called not attached to the state. Who bails them out, folks? We do. It is unconstitutional. We need to start following the New Jersey Constitution, and that in itself. But I'm going to tell you right now, Christie appointed Democrats to the Supreme Court, and there's no reason for that. I promise that when I'm elected, that I will make sure that my Supreme Court justices are going to New Jersey are absolutely going to be for carry and conceal in the state of New Jersey, because I believe, and this is not coming from the Joseph Rudy Rullo like my other wannabe conservative opponents that all of a sudden just announced 2 months ago, who basically plagiarized my stances from 2013. How many people were at the rally in 2013 when I had 101-degree fever, right? It was the week of the Sandy Hook shootings, okay? And I was promoting carry and conceal as an option to protect families, for love for your family, against terrorists, shooters, and gangs. Raise your hand if you were there. 101-degree fever. It was 30 degrees. It was snowing and raining, and I watched people like Christie calling out last minute not to speak at it, and it made me mad. And this is 2013. So now guess what, folks? Like the gas tax that I came against in 2014, and this other issue as well, I was against that. I was against people that didn't want us to have our carry rates going all the way back to 2013 at the Sandy Hook shootings. And it's a passion. It's not something that you just get up out of bed and say, I want to do this. You know, people say, where do you get all these issues from? It's in my heart. I am pissed. I'm sick and tired. Like everybody else is here. And you know what's funny? When I go to debates, people are like, oh, you did really well at the debate. Any one of you would. Because you'd be sitting there, you would. You'd be sitting there and you hear your opponent say, like, you know, this guy, Steve, says, he's from Nutley and he's not a career politician, right? No. He's been in office for 10 years. He says, I think that any politician who raises taxes is unfit for office. Little did he know that my opposition research team found out that when he was on the school board, he approved a $58 million budget with only $50 million in the account.
Oh, wow.
You know what his answer was? Well, I wasn't the only one on the school board. But you're the only one running for governor, Steve. Okay?
It's an excuse right there. I wasn't the only one running.
Yep. They're all ladder climbing politicians. That's all they want to do. I do not want to be president, like I said. I don't even want to be vice president. Okay? I just want to fix New Jersey. That's all I want to do. I want to fix New Jersey and get the hell out and go back to fun again, okay? This is not the most fun in the world. It's just not. Okay, this is not great adventure. This is not acting. This takes a lot of energy. Because every time I give a speech like this, I'm giving you my heart. I'm giving you my soul. And I'm giving you everything I have. And I'm telling you how I feel. And I think it is therapeutic because everybody hears it, right? I mean, it's aggravating. And we say, when is enough going to be enough? The worst part about it is, it's never going to be enough. These people will never stop raising taxes. They're never going to stop hiring their friends. All it is and I said this before, I believe that New Jersey is like the mafia. It's organized like the mafia. It really is, the New Jersey politicians, okay, and the New Jersey political system. And I'm not going to leave out the Democrats or the Republicans on this, okay? What happens is, it's different. Because if you had the Bloods and the Crips, at least they're loyal to each other. They don't intermingle with each other and screw each other over. In this state, this mafia that's organized like the mafia has gangs, and they're called Democrats and Republicans. And they intermingle with each other. Hell, they've already cut deals when Guandano loses. Who's going to get what? Yeah, the Republicans probably have. I mean, look at Hudson County, Camden County. The two counties, they don't even hold a convention. The actual chairman who I spoke to that gave me a guarantee that, oh yeah, I'll make sure that we let you talk to a screening committee and we'll have a convention, won't even return our phone call. There's a reason why. Because they already cut a deal with the Democrats. And that's why Hudson, Camden, Essex, Mercer, this is why they're Democratic. because the Republicans cut deals with them. They have jobs. And you ever notice that the Republicans who have jobs in these Democratic counties never lose them when the Republicans get out of office? Okay? That's why. Okay? And I'm exposing some truth that's very painful to some people out there, but it's the reality. And you know what? We're going to fire a lot of them. And that's what we need to do. We need to fire. There needs to be, my Attorney General will be pro 2A, and it will not be an option. They will follow the Constitution of the United States. I will appoint Supreme Court justices that are completely and totally conservative. That's what we need to do. But I just want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for coming out today. I know many of you, where town did you come from?
Here.
Oh, you're from Lacey?
Yeah, I literally.
What town are you
walked
from
here.
again, Florida?
Lacey.
Lacey? We have Lacey, Howell, we have Somerset, we have Beechwood, Jackson, where else? Camden,
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater,
All right.
Wow.
Lacey, and Lacey's in the house.
You were lucky this place was close to me. I had to walk.
Oh, all right. But, you know, the only way that we're going to be able to do this is that you keep up the aggressive nature that we're doing on social media. I told people in the beginning, I had 2 goals. Number 1 was to saturate social media, and that's what we did. Our second goal was to get a lot of media coverage, and now we are. And now our next step is we got to make sure that we get out the vote. And to do that, we're going to be making phone calls. So anyone who's interested, who take one of my cards, every person in here, and get a hold of us, because we're going to have a massive phone bank, and we're going to get out a lot of people to vote. That's what we need to do. We're going to make sure that we get out ads. We're already on radio ads in Atlantic City. We've been running them for the last 2 months. We're targeting certain areas. Okay, we have an exact strategy of what we're doing in this state. We're not going to waste our time going to rigged conventions. We're going to some that are a little bit more fair. And like I was saying before, in Ocean County, if you have anyone, it doesn't even matter if you have anybody, call up the elected official in your town. On Wednesday, they're going to be voting. They have a vote in this convention. And ask them to vote for me as the nomination in Ocean County as the first governor to ever run on the GOP side and the first governor that Ocean County has ever had. That is an argument that we need to make today. And one of the first governors south, period. Okay? I'm going to be the governor of the people, not the governor of North Jersey and South Jersey. That's what we always have. I see people that are genuine, hardworking people that are frustrated. I haven't been trying to plug into your anger. I don't have any strategy with that. I have anger myself that I've been getting out to you, my frustration of this state and how poorly managed it is, how corrupt it is. We're #1 in the worst corruption in the nation. That adds to the list, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on.
No wonder everybody makes fun of Jersey. I mean, seriously, every movie.
Not everywhere. I go to Florida, they like us. Okay,
But they're all
so
from here.
That's what I was just gonna say.
I
Everybody in
think
Florida's
I personally, you know, besides going to Florida and feeling really safe because I kind of feel cool, you know, because when I'm walking around, nobody knows if I'm carrying or not, and I feel safe. I do, not because I'm carrying, because I don't there, but because somebody doesn't know if I have a gun, and if they try to rob me or try to kill me, I'm going to be able to kill them back. And that's the truth, okay? And that bottom line is, that's what people don't understand with that. I'm going to open it. If anybody has a question, shoot. Anybody?
I do have a few. The plan for legalized weed prices and quality, the medical aspect of it, regardless of municipality.
That's a great question.
Gas tax plan.
All right, hold on.
consumer
One at a time. I'll do the marijuana one. I believe that